Oh, I thought it was being so clever. Light issues all the time. Light issues. Sorry, you guys. Trying to figure it all out, and then like next week it'll be too warm, so I'll be inside anyway. And then I'll have to figure out those lighting issues, but it's much easier inside than outside. So we're gonna do what we can here. There we go. I think that gets it fairly well. All right. I'm not plugged in with my microphone though. Hi, Sandy. Good morning. Hi over there on YouTube. All right. Cuts off my head a little bit, but I just can't care about that right now. So, all right. Look at what you guys are seeing. Okay. Sounds good. I'm a little bit out of sorts. The neighborhood's a little active this morning, so I apologize for any ambient noise, and if the dogs start to get rowdy over it, I'll just shut them in. But like I said, I want to enjoy one more weekend at least where we can be outside and we'll be covered in sweat. So we'll see if that happens today. It is a little humid, but anyway. So is it time? Yes, it is time. So today, first of all, I wanted to start with, if you were able to catch last week, and we talked a little bit about finding something during your plain old everyday walking around daily routine that gives you a little bit of that idea you get with Shavasana or after really good asana practice. Hopefully you end in Shavasana, but I know sometimes that gets skipped. It shouldn't. It's the most important piece, but I know sometimes it does. But that, what I call the yoga buzz, right? Because, because that's how it feels, right? You just have this just awesome, sensation, yoga buzz, right? So were you able to find something you do every day that brings you to that place? And maybe not to that extreme, but to something like that, right? So that's what we're striving for, whether it's through an asana practice, whether you just take 5, that kind of thing, take 10 deep breaths like your mother told you when you were 2, or maybe not 2, that's a little young, but you get the idea, right? Things that we should have been practicing all along, and we were lost along the way because we thought there were other things that were more important. And once you get to a certain point, you realize there's not. This is the thing, and if you can keep this, everything else just kind of flows into place. And when it doesn't, it can roll off your back. Right? And of course, there's still going to be big things that knock you off your feet, but the idea is to keep that peace inside, and it makes everything else a little bit easier. So today we're going to be working a little bit upside down. I know I've had people requesting inversions, and I just am not comfortable not being able to see everyone because I'm not always sure who's watching these, about having people put weight on their heads, on the tops of their heads. If I could see you, it'd be a different story. And if you want to do maybe like a Zoom or something where we can see each other, totally fine with that. But other than that, we are going to be upside down, just not on the head itself, right? Because it can be not good, especially if you've got some issues or you're doing it improperly. So we're going to get that idea without the jeopardy of injuring ourselves. We don't want to do that, right? So working our shoulders, working with the upper body, working with the core, letting gravity pull us in a different direction for a change. So remember to do what your body allows you to do. And if it's a no way kind of day, then maybe just hang out and sit in a seated meditation, or drop into a child's pose, or whatever it is you need. If you want to go into deeper position, certainly do. Good morning, good morning, good morning, you guys. All right, so we're ready to roll. Go ahead and come to a comfortable seat. Remember to prop, absolutely, if you need to prop. So taking your inner thigh rotation, really being aware of the foundation, lifting the pelvic floor, lower belly in and up, and engaging along the sides. Keeping this, it's super important, and it doesn't seem like it would be when you're talking about going upside down, but it really is. So keep all of that. Go ahead and extend, sitting tall through the crown of your head. Close your eyes. Even as your belly is engaged, see if you can relax into your hips and your shoulders. Let your shoulders fall out to the sides of your body rather than towards your chest. So finding the proper alignment for your spine is also very important. And then finding your breath is like the thing. Starting to draw the awareness to the breath. And as you deepen the breath, let your upper belly rise and fall, but keep your lower belly nice and engaged so it helps you sit tall. Finding that just beyond comfortable place for the breath. And then maintaining all of that, keeping the inward focus, the belly engaged, these beautiful long breaths and nice aligned spine here. Let's go ahead and extend the arms out to the sides. With an inhale, we're stretching them up toward the ceiling. And then on the exhale, bring them back down again. We'll do that again. And then one more time. Coming back to the top, inhale. Exhaling the right hand back to the mat and giving yourself a little tip over to that side. Taking a big breath here, fill into your left side ribs, draw the shoulder back. Exhale, see if you can tip into that stretch a little deeper. And then with your inhale, bring yourself back up to the center. And we'll switch, taking it to the left. Big full breath. Coming back to the top on an inhale. And then once more like that on each side. So exhale, take it right. Inhale up to center. And then one last time here, taking it left. Coming back to the middle, inhaling. And exhale the arms. So still sitting nice and tall here. Bring the left hand to the right knee, the right hand behind the back. Just an easy, gentle twist to begin. Find your foundation, find the length of your spine. The twist is extra. And then releasing that back to the middle, come to your second side. Coming back to the center, let's take that first side again, making it a little bit deeper. So use your arms more this time. Press into that left arm. Pulling with right arm. Pulling with the left. Rotate your belly around to the right. Think turning your side ribs toward the back of your mat. Taking the shoulder back a little bit more. and then looking over the shoulder. Find tons of space through the spine. Root down through your pelvis and out through the crown of your head. And then we'll release that, rotating back to the middle, taking the second step. Using the arms, rotating around from the bottom to the top, so to speak. Releasing that back to the middle. And then we'll make our way around onto hands and knees. Getting the foundation of the hands, four corners nice and even. Belly's in here as well. And then just moving in through some cat-cows to start, inhaling the belly toward the floor. And then exhale, rounding your spine toward the ceiling. In and out like that. Take one more flow. And then find the middle. Belly's still pulled in here. You can take your hands forward or your knees back. However you get there, make your way to a kneeling plank. Find neutral, right? So the crown of your head extending forward, your shoulders neutral on your back, belly's pulled in, hips in line with the knees and shoulders here. Still nice and even on the four corners of the hands. You can stay on the knees a little longer if you'd like, or lift them away from the floor, pressing through the heels. We are going to be working with planks, so be sure to save your energy. Okay, if this is killing you. And then go ahead and lift your hips. Let's make our way to down dog. Moving and stretching as we always do. And as you settle in, thinking about the four corners of the hands, certainly. Press your chest back and let your head hang between your arms. So your ears should be in line with your arms. Pressing the heels toward the floor, even if they don't touch, not even a little bit. Think about the position of your shoulders on your back. And we want to find neutral, right? So we don't want to be sagging through or sagging the shoulders toward the floor, pushing away. That'll be extra important later. So keeping that idea, we're just going to flow between those two. So on an inhale, shift into your plank. With your exhale, take it back into down dog. In and out like that. And if you'd like, because we're not holding, if you want to move a little bit deeper into the shoulders, you can, coming a little bit beyond ears and shoulders, or ears and arms, right? But be careful, just listen to what your body needs from you. It's early yet. Let's go ahead and do one more of those forward and back. And then holding in your down dog and dropping down to the knees, go ahead and give yourself a little break in child's pose here. Let your shoulders rest a second. And then let's move back to our down dog. Instead of pressing the heels toward the floor here, go ahead and come up on your toes. Keep your right hand rooted as you drop the heels over to the left. The hips stay nice and high, the chest is pressing back, your head is hanging in line with your arms. Come on back to center. Do the same thing on the second side. So the heels over to the right, press nice and firm into that left hand. And then back to the middle. From here, we're going to lift the right leg, taking it straight back. Push through the heels. See if you can feel that extra extension. We're going to open up the hip, take the toes a little higher. Watch the shoulders stay level. Bend into the knee. Head still hanging in line with your arms. Let's release that. Back to down dog. And then switching sides, lift the left. Keep the hips square. Press out through your heels for a moment. And then open the hip, taking the toes higher, bending at the knee here. Releasing that, back to your down dog again. Drop on down to the knees and give yourself that child's pose again. Back to down dog. Let's go ahead and lift that right leg again. This time here, hug the knee in toward the chest and step the foot forward into lunge. If it takes a little momentum or didn't land where you wanted it to, don't sweat it. Just work it up there. Drop the left knee to the floor. And then let's take the right leg straight-ish. So finding your hamstring stretch here, shoulders down and back. So remember, it doesn't matter where your fingers are. Maybe they need to come up. Bending back into the knee. Let the hip shift forward. Keeping the hips nice and square. Bringing the right hand to the hip. Let's add a little twist. Rotating the belly, side ribs and shoulder. And then releasing the twist. Left knees on the floor or not. Right leg straight again. Thinking about this placement of the shoulders on the back, finding a nice little stretch here, whatever that looks like. And then once again, go ahead and bend into the knee. Let the hips shift forward. Drop the back knee if it feels a little unstable. Climb on up on the right thigh, lifting the upper body. Press away. Hang on or reach up. Take your time. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Arms in line with the ears here as much as they can be. And then we're going to release the arms. And make our way back into down dog. Let's switch sides, lifting the left leg. Pulling the knee in toward the chest and stepping forward on this side. So adjust if you need to adjust, right? Toes in line, or not toes, ankle underneath the knee here. Right knee's on the floor as we start, taking the left leg straight. bending. Let the hip shift forward. The more you lift the chest, the more you get the stretch in the hip flexor and the quad here. So you decide how intense that is right this minute. Hug your legs toward each other. Bring the left hand to the hip and add in your twist. Release the twist. And again here, the right knee can stay on the floor if you want it to. Let's go ahead and take the left leg straight. And then once again, we'll bend. Sweep the legs toward each other, climb up on the thigh. Lift the upper body. Let the lower body sink without bending the right knee unless it needs to be on the floor, of course. Hang on or reach up. And then we'll release it and step back to down dog. From down dog, let's shift forward, coming back to our plank here. Holding for a moment, taking knees, of course, if you need to. Elbows bend nice and close to the sides. Drop on down to the belly. Taking the hands next to the side ribs. Hug those elbows in. And then just a nice little roll in the shoulders. Baby curl away from the floor. Releasing, keeping the elbows in. Make your way up and back to down dog. Let's go ahead and walk the feet forward. Come back to our standing fold. Come into a standing fold. Toes point forward, feet hip bone distance apart here. And then walk in place a little bit. Coming to a center, bend the knees enough that your belly touches your thighs. So however much that means, keeping the knees, ankles, hip bone distance apart. Wrap your arms behind your legs. Hang on here. Squeeze your belly to your thighs, but not your knees together. And then see if you can take your legs straighter. Maybe yes, maybe no. Wherever you get, let your head hang. Right? Feel that nice release all the way up the back, your neck, your shoulders maybe even. Releasing the arms. Legs straight or bent, entirely your preference. Take the fingers to the lower back. Palms face each other, gentle little bend in the elbows. We want to pull our shoulder blades together on the back and then stretch the knuckles away. So maybe they lift up off of your lower back, maybe they don't very much, but you're reaching away so you might feel your shoulders move away from your ears even. Letting your head hang here. So the crown of your head, maybe, is reaching toward the floor and the knuckles are reaching toward the ceiling. Let's release the fingers. And again here, bent knees or not so much, right? This time here, we're gonna take the fingers and we're gonna interlace them behind the neck, right? So that your pinky side of your hand is just below where your skull starts, right? As much as you can, bring your elbows together under your chin. If you cannot breathe here, don't do that, right? But as much as you can, and then let yourself hang over. Releasing the hands. If they're not already, go ahead and take your legs straight here. We're going to slide the hands up to the thighs. Press away from the thighs and come parallel-ish to the floor. Hold here. Find your neutral spine. Crown of the head forward, shoulders back, belly's in. Leaning with the hands as much as you need to. And then we'll sit back into a chair. Ideally keeping that same 90-degree bend in the hip here. Chest is lifting, even on the feet, supporting, coming center, extending the arms, whatever it is that you need here. Here comes the sun. With an inhale, stretch to the ceiling. And then release the arms. So we're going to take some sun salutes next. Remember to follow your breath. Listen to your body. If you need an extra breath in something, take it. So let's inhale, then stretch the arms to the ceiling. Exhale, take yourself over into a fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. Let's exhale, step ourselves back into plank. Take the knees if you'd like, drop it down to the belly. Hands next to those side ribs as we roll the shoulders. You can add in pulling and pressing a little bit, keeping the chest open. Release that, up and back into down dog. And then inhale, stepping the feet forward, come into fold. One step or 20, whatever it takes. Halfway up. Exhale, back over again. And then come all the way up, stretching to the ceiling. And releasing the arms. So let's go again, just like that. Add on or not. Stretch up. Exhale, forward. Halfway up, shoulders back here. Keep them back as you drop down, take it into plank. Knees if you need, take it to the belly. Inhale as you roll your shoulders, roll, press maybe, and then exhale to release that. Back to down dog. Inhaling as you step forward. And then come halfway up. Exhale back over. And bring it all the way up. Release the arms. And then adding in with this next one, again, maybe if it's for you. Okay? Take an extra breath here or there, whatever it is you need. So let's inhale, sit into chair. And then take it into fold. Halfway up. Exhale, back plank. Dropping it down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, release down dog. With the inhale, the right foot steps forward in the lunge. Dropping the back heel or knee as we reach the upper body. And then bring it back down, exhaling into down dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, down. Roll to cobra. And back to down dog. Left foot forward, inhaling. Heel or knee to the mat, take your time, lifting up. And then back down again, down dog. Shift it forward to plank. Exhale to the belly. Inhale into your cobra. And then back to down dog. So you can hold that down dog or drop into child's pose. You decide. If the arms have had a little bit, maybe you can even take your hands back by your heels and let the shoulders rest. Take one more breath where you are. And then we'll make our way back to down dog. On the inhale, step the feet forward into fold. Come halfway up and back over. Inhaling into chair. And then exhaling to release it all. All right, so let's take a short step back with the right foot. We're gonna start off in warrior one here. We're gonna play with our warriors and see if we can have some fun. So all 10 toes pointing forward. Go ahead and bend into your left knee, gluing the back heel to the floor. Hips are gonna be squared to the mat here. So the more you turn those right toes forward, the easier on your knee that is, right? If they're turning out, you're trying to bring your hip forward, your knee doesn't know where to go, right? So be kind. Holding with the hands on the hips if that's you, extending the arms maybe. You can absolutely look up, but we want to keep the arms in line with the ears. So if you just flop your head back, you're crunching the back of your neck. So you can definitely look up, but the chest opens toward the ceiling as well there. That makes sense. So from this warrior one then, we're gonna open into warrior two. So bring the arms parallel to the floor. Let your right toes turn out to the right a little bit then, and open your feet probably wider. You wanna be able to see your left big toe, and really just your left big toe. Even on the four corners of the feet here. We'll take another nice big breath. And bring it over into lunge. Come up on the back toes. And let's go ahead and take that left leg straight again. So we've been here before. You can absolutely have that right knee on the floor again if you need it to be. But finding just a little bit deeper stretch, maybe in the left hamstring. Keep pressing the left hip back. We'll bend back into that knee. And you can have a big bend or just a little one, it's fine either way. We're gonna hop the back foot in until we can lift the toes up off the floor. We're working toward warrior three. So we want the right leg to be parallel to the floor, pressing through the heel as if you were standing on that leg. Bringing the hands up to the thigh, maybe. Bringing the upper body parallel to the floor as well. Flying the arms if you want to fly the arms, certainly. Crown of the head, so that right heel is a nice straight line, hopefully. Release it over into fold. Here, let's bend into the knees on an inhale, roll the spine all the way up again. And we'll go with the second side. So that short step back with the left foot. Again, here as we start, the hips are square to the top, toes pointing forward, bending into the right knee, left hip coming forward, feeling that nice stretch there. And then the arms lifting if the arms lift. Warrior one into warrior two. So arms parallel to the floor. Let your left toes turn out. Holding the feet a little wider. Again, probably. Right? But check out your feet. Make sure they're where you think they are. And then we're going to release that, coming over into our lunge again. Up on the back toes, right? Or drop the knee if you need here. Taking the right leg straight when you're ready. Finding where the stretch is now. So it might just be that the leg is finally straight. And of course, we don't want to lock that knee, so straight without lock. Bending back into the knee. As you're ready, hop your left toes forward. I'm going to lift them away from the floor. Working at bringing that left leg straight and parallel as much to the floor as you can make it. And then add in the arms. Find that neutral position, and then if you can continue to add on, you add on. Flying the arms, maybe the fingertips need to stay on the floor. Couple of nice big breaths here. Make sure your belly's supporting your back. And then release it back over into your fold. Letting yourself hang. And then we'll step it back into down dog again. So we're going to go into child's pose with weight. Normally when we drop down, the knees go first, right? That just makes more sense to the brain. It's the way we always do it. Today, we're going to use the elbows first. So keep everything else as you have it. Here your elbow creases face inward, right? They face each other. Keep your hands where they are. See if you can rotate your elbow creases more toward the top of the mat. So the position of your shoulders should feel a little different on your back, right? But then when you bend the elbows, you can bring them to the floor and then take the knees down to the mat. Sitting back in a child's pose. So working in this position here, and just like with everything else, where we drop down to or whatever first initially landed is not always where we should be. So we want to make it a little bit more precise. Let's come up onto the knees and forearms, and then grab the outside edge of the opposite elbow. And if you're just touching the elbows, your elbows might be wider than your shoulders. So we really want to grab the outside edges to tuck them up underneath. That's, of course, rough, right? Not everybody's body is precisely the same, but the idea is to get the elbows under the shoulders. From there, taking your forearms either out into Sphinx, like they were when we came down from down dog, or interlaced out front. So either way is fine, but we want to make sure that the entire forearm is on the floor. And sometimes the wrist doesn't like to participate, but we want to press down there too. So press down into the forearms and imagine hugging your elbows together up underneath the body. Make sure the belly is pulled in here. You can absolutely stay here or lift your knees up off the floor like we do in down dog, pressing the heels to the floor, pressing the chest to the thighs. Finding the stretch here. The head stays away from the floor. So if you find your head drifting toward the floor, you want to push down into the forearms a little bit more. And then we're going to do like we did before with down dog to plank, right? With an inhale, shift forward, come into a forearm plank. And then with the exhale, lift the hips back to your dolphin. And you're just going to go forward and back like that. So your feet may need to adjust a little bit for this one, unlike down dog and plank. Make sure the belly stays in. And then go ahead and drop on down to the knees. Take your child's pose again. Remember the little trick of using your hand or taking your hands back by your heels to let your shoulders rest a little deeper. So if that works for you, lovely. If not, forget it now for now. So this time, instead of planks, we're gonna work more with the hips height. So come back up onto your forearms and knees. Grab your opposite elbow, because they inevitably don't wanna stay where you put them. And then again here, sphinx arms or interlaced fingers out front, pressing down into the forearms. Imagine pulling them together up underneath. You can absolutely stay on your knees. And we're gonna bring the chin to the thumbs and then back, right? So a little bit like before, but if you lift your knees away from the floor, instead of planking, the hips stay height. So it's a little bit more work for the shoulders. It's still work for the core. Same idea here, the head stays far, far away from the floor. And if you need to change up a couple, maybe a couple on the knees and then one up off the knees or vice versa, whatever you have to do. Finding the positioning of the shoulders on your back, the length of your neck. We want to work our shoulders, but not stress out the neck. Go one more time, whatever variation you're working. And then come on down and rest. So we have one more variation that we're going to work here. And you can do whatever your body needs, right? You can rest in child's pose if you need to. Or you can maybe just move forward and back on your knees if that was enough work or you're just kind of done with it, right? If you want to move a little bit deeper and add a little bit more of that inversion idea, we're going to come up onto the forearms and knees. Same idea, setting your elbows and your forearms. Remember, you can change your mind in the middle. If it didn't work in one place, make it where it needs to be for you. Press down, hug the elbows toward each other, make sure the belly's engaged. This variation, we're going to lift the knees away from the floor. Press your chest back like we do in down dog, and we want to keep the shoulders here. Don't let the shoulders come forward for this one. From here, see if you can walk your toes closer to your elbows. And then back out again. So in and out with the lower body, not the upper body. Or at least not at the same time anyway, right? Because if everything is coming forward, you could end up falling over and you don't want to do that. Head stays far away from the floor. And if you're feeling it, you may start to feel your hips come over your shoulders, right? Someday, the hips come over the shoulders and then we pick our feet up off the floor into a balance. You can pick one foot up at a time for now. If you have a wall and you want to hop up against them, don't hop. Press yourself up to the wall and both feet can be up off the floor there, then certainly go for it. Take a couple more of whatever you want to work for right now. I'm sure if you're still going, you're getting out of, not out of breath necessarily, but tired, right? Take one more and then drop on down, take your child's pose again. So there are lots of places to play with that Mayurasana or dolphin or that arm balance, whatever you want to call it. Lots of things to try and play with. So we've got one more place to balance. Let's bring ourselves back into down dog. And then we'll walk our feet forward into a standing fold. When we were in Warrior 3, the lifted leg was parallel to the floor. This time the lifted leg is going to lift as high as it can possibly lift. So let's shift the weight over into the left foot and lift the right leg. Take it as high as you can. So your hips might shift funny, right? Cushion bend in the knee, try not to lock your knee. Instead of bringing the upper body parallel to the floor like we did, we're going to try and bring it to the left thigh as much as we can. So see if you can take your left hand maybe to your calf or your ankle, your thigh, if that's where you are, and you want to pull the body toward the leg. And then come up on the fingertips of your right hand. If you're feeling comfortable enough for it, you don't need that hand on the floor either. Wrap it around the leg and hug your body to the left leg. Lift your right toes high. And then release it into fold. So that's fun, right? We're gonna go second side, so get really even and steady on this right foot. Take the weight to the right, lift the left. Again, just as high as it'll lift. Take the right hand to the back of the leg, hug the body toward the leg, and maybe just come up on the left fingertips. That's a little bit of balance work, right? If you don't need the hand, you grab on and pull in here too. Let's release all of that, take it back into your fold. And then step it back, down dog. And again, dropping down into a child's pose for just a couple of breaths. Let's come to sit up on the heels. And we'll bring the legs around front. So being upright feels a little bit weird now, right? Since we're upside down for so long. Make sure that the pelvis is in position. Flex your feet, sitting nice and tall. Stretch the arms toward the ceiling. And let's come forward into fold. Keeping the spine nice and long, shoulders down and back. With an inhale, let's come back up again. And then release the arms. So from here, let's bring the right foot to the inside of the left knee. Calf or thigh or wherever it comfortably lands. So we want to make sure that we're still upright on the pelvis. Right? If that needs to kind of rearrange your seats, then certainly do. Sit up really tall here. So from here, we're going to see if we can then take the knee behind the hip, right? Now it's kind of in front of a little bit, maybe. See if you can take it wider. And the foot may or may not still touch. Either way, whatever you got going on, you still want to be even on your seat. So root your pelvis, extend out the crown of your head. We're going to bring the hands to the inside without letting the upper body collapse. Right? Stay tall. And then come forward. Think belly button to heel. It might not touch. Don't worry about that. Keep the pelvis rooted, the spine tall. Taking another nice big breath. And then inhaling, hinge up. Rotate around toward the left leg and fold over the leg as much as you can. Trying to keep the right cheek on the floor. Working to keep the shoulders square. Working to bring the shoulders square is probably more appropriate. On an inhale, we're going to hinge back up again. And then switch. So bring the right foot back forward again. Starting with the left foot to the inside of the right leg. And if that's as wide as it is, that's as wide as it is. It's not a big deal. But if you can, take the knee behind the hip. And wherever you are, the pelvis is upright. So adjust certainly if you need to adjust. Root into the pelvis, extend out the crown of your head, and come forward into this sort of center space. Coming back up again. Rotating toward the right leg and folding directly over the leg as much as possible, of course. So the pelvis is still rooted, the spine is tall. We're trying to bring this left shoulder around to square more toward the leg. And then hinging back up again. Extend both legs. Shake them out if you need to shake them out. Sometimes that feels good. And then let's bring the feet flat to the floor. Roughly a 90-degree bend in the knee. You may want to scoot forward because we will rock back when we're done. So if you don't want to adjust later, go ahead and adjust now. Hang on to your hamstrings here. Lift your chest. Shoulders are down and back. Keep that idea. Lean back just enough to balance, and the toes pick up off the floor. They don't have to, of course. You should already feel your abs, but listen to your body. If you need to leave them low, leave them low. Maybe bring the shins parallel to the floor. And for today, that's as high as we're going to lift them because we're going to work on something else here. So you can absolutely still hang on if you need to hang on, or maybe just support. Hug your legs toward each other. Squeeze them in as tight as you can. And then open your knees and squeeze the soles of your feet. Do that again. Bring the knees in, squeeze them tight. And then open and squeeze the feet. Again, knees. And feet. One more time, knees. And feet. Hang on to your ankles. Draw your heels in. Continue to balance. Let your knees rest out to the sides. Keep your chest lifting like crazy. And then release. Rounding the spine. Rock on down to your back. Keeping the soles of the feet together. When you get there, go ahead and take the feet to the floor so the knees fall open to the sides, and you can really release into the belly, the hips, wherever else you're feeling this. We'll bring the knees back together. And hug those knees into the chest here. Let yourself rock a little bit. So as always at the end here, any variation of the spinal twist you want. So if you want to leave the knees closer to the chest, that's great. If you want to take the feet back to the floor, shift your hips, whatever you got to do, we're going to open the arms and take the legs over to the right. Let them rest to the side. Try to let that left shoulder drop back. Take another big breath here. We'll come on back to center. And take the variation that you just did over to your second side. One more breath on this side. And then back to center. Let the body rock a little bit. And then squeeze the knees in good and tight. Pull your forehead towards your knees. Give yourself a hug. Releasing it out into a full body stretch. And then releasing that stretch, bringing yourself to Shavasana. So prop if you need to prop, adjust what you need to adjust. And then let your muscles release. Releasing control of your breath as well. But doing what you need to do to keep the mind present. So if that means counting breaths, or being extra focused on how your backside feels against the mat, something to keep your mind present. If it does wander, just bring it back. Give yourself just a few minutes to rest. slowly draw in a deep cleansing breath and then let it all go. Allow the body to gradually wiggle, stretch. When you're ready, bringing the feet flat to the mat, keeping your eyes closed, your mind nice and quiet. Slowly roll to the side and press up to seated. Coming to sit well, bringing the palms to touch. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Cool? So I hope you had fun with that. Being upside down is actually a lot of fun. And like I said, if anyone is interested in maybe doing a Zoom call where we can see each other, I am more than happy to play with other inversions. I love them. So let's chat. And as always, reach out if there's anything you need or any questions you have, any poses you'd like to see maybe more of. So yeah, give me a holler and have a great weekend. It looks like it's gonna be pretty nice here anyway. All right, you guys, have a good one. Thanks for playing, you guys. See ya.